All right, so the deal is not every cue happens right on a downbeat, and we've only really talked about how to give a cue for an entrance or a big moment that's going to happen on the beat. So the best way to talk about unusual situations is to see the actual music notes. Let's take a look at some of that now. We really haven't seen the actual notes written out for much that we've been doing. So here is just our basic set. Listen to what this sounds like. That's beat 1, beat 2, and there's a kind of an imaginary final note that happens over here that you can give a 4-1. You can hold on 1 at the end. Okay, so hopefully it's clear. We have 1, 2, Q2, 3, 4. So we know that we need to prep the beat before each of these things. And you notice that there was a click in, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my. So their prep is before beat 1. Okay? So as we come into beat 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and then there's a whole note at the end. So each of these has a prep before. This one preps right here. This one preps right here. This one preps right here. Now, as a conductor, you may or may not need to think about what that number is. I think it's a good idea. But I'm going to write prep, and I'm going to let you substitute the number in your head. Or if you're getting a feel for preps, maybe you understand, all right, since I know I'm going to cue 2, I'm just going to take that prep and do a breath the beat before. So listen to it, and you can try and conduct along. This is kind of how we're going to notate preps and which number we are cueing. Here's the click off. Now there's going to be another video showing me conducting this so you can practice with it. So instead of showing you now, I'm going to go on because the next page is a bit more interesting. So we just worked on this, and I'm not going to write all that out again. Let's look at the new situations. So the notes that we need to cue, right? We're going for these entrance notes, the ones that are, okay, they're going to come in on the and of 1 in this measure. They're going to come in on the and of 2 in this measure, and of 3, and of 4. All of these are just different versions of the same kind of entrance. So this is an upbeat entrance. And anything that is on the upbeat, or in this case you can see like the second triplet, so the first triplet note was a rest, but it's going to come in with da da da, da da da. So it's coming in still in the first half of this beat. And this one too, if it's like a rest 16th rest, and then you hit E, 1E, 1E, if you're coming in on E, the second 16th note, we're going to cue the actual beat that would have been, or the beat that this is a part of, right? So the beat 1 is where this is what this triplet is a part of, and beat 1 is the downbeat that owns this upbeat. This is the and of 1. So anything halfway like this, or closer to the beginning of the beat, is going to be cued on the previous beat. And in that case, that just means you're actually going to cue beat 1. We say previous because the note is here, but the beat is previous to the note. So we're going to cue beat 1, and then you're going to see a pattern here, right? So this upbeat belongs to 2. So we're going to cue beat 2. These triplets belong to 2 also, and so on. So instead of circling everything, this column is about cueing beat 3. Just put a couple 3s here so we remember. And this column is about cueing beat 4. Now, we can go through and think about, now that we know the rule, we know which beat we're going to cue, then we need to figure out where we're going to prep. So the prep is a previous beat here. Whoa, sure, big prep. Prep on 1 for 2. Prep on 2 for 3. Prep on 3 for 4. So I'm going to go from the top, just so you can hear this. And I'll talk through it like I was just a moment ago. Here we are at the very beginning. Remember, you got the tap off at the beginning. 2, 3, 4, 1. 2, 3, 4, 1. 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1. There's an imaginary whole note. Then we're on the new line. 3, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. Good. I'll pause for a minute and say that I said this early. Okay, but what I'm doing is I'm breathing on the prep count, and then I'm saying the number as it arrives. This is just for you to understand, so I'm not even going to go redo that. I just want you to know what this is about, and we're going to do a video that's about actually performing this as a conductor, being able to do this exercise. Let's keep going into the next line with the triplets. 3, 4, 2. 1, 2, 4. Should have written those preps in for myself. Here we go. Prep, prep, prep. Oh, goodness. Yep, well, it's green, so that's enough for me. Prep, prep. By the way, this is score study, right? Where I'm writing this in advance. This is not cheating. This is what you should do in your score. Okay. We'll go on to the triplet entrance. 1, 3. 1. Oh boy, that was not where I thought it was in the track. Okay. So, don't worry about that. The deal is these preps happen on the beat. Excuse me. This is what we're learning on this page. Beat 1 is the beat you cue to get someone to come in on the upbeat. The reason I don't mind that there's mistakes in here is this is really hard to understand unless you can see it. But I have to have you understanding what you're looking at before I show you how it's conducted, okay? So all these markings will still be there in that video. Okay, so then there's one more situation where we have, I'll fill in one last prep, we have notes that come in the back half of the beat. So this is the third triplet, and it's like a little pickup into beat 2 there, right? Because it's really close to that note, we feel it more like a musical pickup into this note. So instead of cueing this beat, which is what we were talking about on the previous page, in this entrance you cue here. But in this entrance, this is so close to this note that we're going to treat it like a pickup, and you can actually just cue the downbeat that the pickup is picking up to, and musicians can figure out the timing of this. There's other like really fancy kinds of things you can do here, like it does help to minimize count 4 and then move quickly on your prep. And that helps people see that like there is something to play on the way to 2. So this prep should be, you know, very energetic. Really nice energetic prep there. And it wouldn't hurt to minimize count 4 before that, which is what we learned about cueing on a beat, right? Minimize, cue, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. You know, that thing we learned on the first cue day. But for this new situation, we'll focus on prepping on the beat where the pickup happens, and then actually just cueing the beat that the arrival note is sitting on. So that's on 3, that's on 4, and then this would be pickup to an imaginary 1 that I do think is in the recording. Okay, and then here, this is the last 16th note, da-da, and you just cue 2, a 2, a 3, so you cue 3, a 4, and this one is cueing a 1, and so you're actually cueing beat 1 over here on both of these. All right, so we know the prep is 1 beat previous. By the way, this is really hard to do in order. That's why I got so messed up earlier. It's like doing all of this in order is an extremely high level of challenge to get all the preps in. If you can learn how to conduct this exercise all the way through, you will have a really strong grasp of how to cue, but you should probably only work one line at a time. Sometimes you might have to stop and work one measure at a time. Okay, so that's why I'm making you a separate practice video, so hopefully I can get it right, and you can understand what you need to practice and have the ability to do so. I'll play you this whole thing now, and I'll try to do my best to count accurately and to breathe where preps would happen. All right, let's make sure we understand this whole page. We got our click off. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 1. 3, 4, 1, 2. 4, 1. Next line, here we go. 1, 3, 4, 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Imaginary here. Next line, and 1, 3, 4, 2. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's tough without the markings. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 3, 4. There we go. Got that one pretty well. Now we have some markings here. 4, 2, 4. 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 3. So you see the prep happens as we arrive to that thing. A 2, 3, 4, 1. A 3, 4, 1, 2. A 4, 1, 2, 3. A 1. So that green is where you're prepping, right? So my prep and my breath is on this beat because it's before our cue. So the rule for preps has never changed. You always prep the beat before you're going to cue. But the time you're supposed to cue is kind of mixed up when it's not on a beat, and that's what these situations are about. Okay, so this is the weirdest one because these ones that we talked about here, these cues are happening on a rest. So you got to get used to what that feels like. These ones don't feel as odd because you go to cue and the pickup just happens on your way to the main arrival note. Okay, that is preps, cues, and cutoffs with unusual cue situations. Go watch the other video of unusual conducting situations practice. It might say grid practice, and that's kind of a different term, but you look for the practice video for unusual cue situations. Thanks for watching.